Welcome everybody to
Episode
the
one,
of Eternal Pursuit and
Outdoor
Outdoor
Adventures.
Adventures. I am your host, Joe Scheel. Um, Avid bow hunter, love it. Um, we do a lot of. I hunt deer in the fall. I mean, I get nuisance tags for raccoons in the spring or in the summer. We're trapping in the winter.
Yeah,
We're going on a bear hunt this spring with turkeys.
yes.
I also enjoy fishing, but not as much as you.
I am
If you
the
would like to introduce yourself.
I'm Colin Massey. I run the outdoor adventure side of things. So Outdoor Adventures Michigan. That's my page on Instagram there, and
Mm-hmm.
we run. I also big into bow hunting. Love building arrows. I actually really like building arrows, and that's kind of the main topic of the day. But I also do a lot of fishing. I did my first trapping this past season with Joe here. That was more than fun. That was amazing.
Too bad we didn't have much luck because
Yeah.
it was like
Hey,
negative
but
10 degrees and all of our traps
got a
froze in
mink.
the ground.
We got a mink.
We did get probably one of the best fur minks I've ever seen.
Yeah,
It was big.
that was awesome.
We also had an otter steal one of our traps.
We did
Which,
have that happen.
uh,
Oh well, what are you gonna do?
yeah, those smart buggers.
Yeah, and lots of other things. Bird hunting,
Love bird hunting.
upland and waterfowl for me. I don't know about you for upland. I
I
know.
personally never upland hunted,
Oh my gosh,
but
so much
I
fun.
would. I do have like, dude, I have this dream one day to have like a man cave, right?
Yeah,
And then to put like have a pheasant, a
yeah,
grouse, and a woodcock in it.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, I did. I was up. Oh, it would have been probably the first weekend in August. I was up in like Gaylord area,
Mm-hmm.
and we went up there like personally just trying to catch a sturgeon. My buddy and I, one of my best friends, he's leaving
Yeah.
for vet school, and we were like, let's try to catch a sturgeon. How sweet would that be? So we bought all the
Yeah.
gear that we thought we'd need. We never hooked into one, but
Right.
there was one night we were like, let's go take the side by side out, the razor, and just rip it on the trails up there. And he was ripping it, and dude, I felt like the woodcocks had like a death wish because they kept landing right in front of us.
Oh
I
yeah.
think we might have hit one or two of them. I was like,
Yeah.
but I was like, man, what are these things? Then I saw the beak on them. It was like 4 or 5 inches long. I don't even know
Yep.
how big they are, but it's just noticeably bigger when the bird is
Yeah.
smaller than a baseball. I was like, that was sweet.
They are interesting little birds. They do.
And they scare the piss out of you when you step on them.
They take off. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We see them a lot. We hunt when I hunt whitetails up north. You'll see woodcocks and some of the brushier stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But we mostly see a lot of grouse, and that's if I've done any hunting up there, it's almost always grouse.
Yeah.
There really isn't a pheasant population outside of like the direct area around a pheasant farm. You'll find a few, but
Yeah.
as far as like the majority of northern Michigan here, we don't got many pheasants. Now we do have a spot around
Yeah.
here in the lower central Michigan that
Hopefully
there
we
was a
can.
lot of pheasants out
Yeah.
there, and
Yeah.
that would
We
be
went.
something cool to do.
Yeah. This spring I don't know what the pheasant season is, so I have to look. But it's just a
Yeah,
small game license is all we need. I don't think we need upland birds because I think do pheasants count as upland?
they do. I
Okay,
believe.
so we would probably need to purchase the license. But yeah, we're sitting there and we're like, man, what is that horrible noise?
Yeah,
So I got this app out that like,
the Merlin app.
yeah, Merlin
Yeah,
app. It like records the sounds, and I'm like, ringneck pheasant. So it kind of sounded, I don't even know, it sounded like something that had like a bad cough. And I was like, what is
oh
this
yeah,
horrible racket? And then we were sitting there one day, and the pheasant walked right up to us, like 20 yards away from us, and was doing that racket. I'm just
yeah.
shocked with as many coyotes out there that thing is alive doing that.
And not just the one. We saw what
6 or 7 of them,
just
like
that,
roosters,
and we heard more off in
all
the
over the
distance, all
place.
around
Yeah.
us. So that's something that when we get into that season,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll have to definitely double check that because that could be something that's I don't know if that's relatively soon or if that takes place
Yeah.
later, and that's something that we'll look into. As far as pheasant go, because I feel like I hunted grouse in the fall,
Yeah, but I
like
think they
around
go all the way through. I think they go. I
goose
think they
season.
follow small game season.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you really want one with really nice plumage, you could probably try to figure out how them in the spring. But like I said, we're not gonna obviously do that until we look
Until
at the
we
rules.
know.
I just haven't looked yet, because it's not been on my mind. My mind has been
Yeah.
bows, whitetail, like finding spots, finding deer
Mm-hmm.
to try to get some footage in the film for Eternal Pursuit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But
And while we're on that topic, we can kind of talk about what we did today
yeah, yeah.
with some of
So
these different arrows.
yeah, so today we I kind of I had some veins on them. I don't even know what they're called, but they're kind of
They're the tack veins.
tack veins. Yeah, but they were thin and they warped really easy. And I would shoot the ends of them, and I don't think any this has anything against like the vein itself. It was probably just my wear and tear. And I'm tough on my arrows. That's just kind of the way, the nature of me. So we're like, all right, well, these veins might be good for like a target setup when I'm not like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what I did to them, but when I'm not like I'm in a more controlled environment
Yeah.
shooting like down a lane, but we were like, all right, what arrow can we build that's going to be quiet? Because I have a spot that I haven't quite, I don't even know if I've told you this yet, but I've got this spot for this real big buck, probably the biggest one I've found so far this year. Um, he comes through and right around the rut, late rut, one of the does in the property just goes in heat. And for 2 consecutive years, this buck has just ran around in the field like stupid, like a total dream hunt. Like
Yeah.
he's got like drool coming out, and I was like, well, in a couple weeks, probably a month or so, I'm gonna go set out a pop up blind for the ground hunt, and I'm gonna go in there and set it up where I have like a shot out into the field. I'm gonna have the blind right on the edge of the field. So if he is at 50, 60 yards, I'm gonna be practicing with that shot with my Grim Reapers
Yeah.
that I'll be hunting with this year, so that if he is out there at 50, 60 yards, I can take that shot and feel confident that I'm going to hit that shot.
Right.
So we're trying to figure out what's going to be quiet.
Yep.
And you're in a field in November. What's going to hold the most true when wind might be ripping, or
Yeah.
like what, like, so the arrows we're right now like messing with, or the veins I should say, we're using the VAP TKOs, but the veins we're messing with are the AAE Max,
Yep.
the Heat. I don't know the
Boning heat
Heat,
veins, and then
and
Q2Y,
Q2I. Yeah, 3 inch.
3-inch Q2Is, and that's just I can't remember the like what they call them, but they're just I think they're like pretty much a standard 3-inch Q2Is.
Yeah,
And I like the Q2Is. You had Q2Is on the first set of arrows I made
yeah,
for you, and you really liked those.
I did. What I particularly liked about them is that they like the integrity of the fletching. It wasn't coming off. If it was, I just dot a little glue and then it stayed on there. Like, I mean, I bought a dozen arrows for you and I made it last like a year and a half, 2 years. And like,
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty unheard of. Because I remember right when you started fletching arrows for
Yeah.
me, you'd give me 4 arrows, and in a week I'd be like, hey, I need 4 more, because I just shot a rock with this one.
Yeah.
I just hit,
Right.
hit the end of the other one, and it's like, dude,
Blowing the back of the arrows up.
yeah, it's like, well,
And not all of that comes down to like a lot of that is shooter error, right? Yeah,
yeah,
I know.
oh, no doubt, and I
I've
was
blown through
really
my own.
young
Yeah.
bow hunter going through that, but
Yeah, but I think between and after shooting a little bit today, I think we've knocked off the AAE max veins.
yeah, totally.
Because those are the loudest. As much as I love these veins,
I like them too.
but I think with the goal in mind that you have,
Mm-hmm.
the Q2I or the heat veins are gonna be the we're gonna be between those two, and really the big difference is the size.
No
Right,
doubt.
both of them are pretty quiet. The heat veins are just, I mean, wicked silent. They
Yeah.
are really a good, quiet vein, and they always have been. I found that to be true. I'm running heat veins
Yeah.
on my element storms. Like
Yeah.
that's what I run. I like them. I run them with helical even, and they're
Mm-hmm.
still quiet,
Yeah.
which is just money. But
I like as you know, as we kind of shift the topic to helical, I'd be curious what what the heat vanes sound with a 2 degree helical, because then you're getting more steerage,
yeah,
but it's probably going to be quieter than the sharp 3 degree
oh yeah,
helical that you have on yours. And if it can keep that arrow going true or flying true towards the deer, I mean,
yeah,
I'm all for it. I don't know how much it's going to affect, like, because I also have some spots that are in the woods, like,
hmm
I mean, 20, 30 yards, like, if I'm lucky, is the farthest shot I'm going to be getting.
right. And I think in those situations, it's not as imperative because there's less time, there's less flight time for that arrow from when it leaves your bow to when it hits the animal,
Mm-hmm.
right? So in that sense, the animal has less time to react. No, that's not saying that you should have a just an obnoxious arrow, right? You
No,
still want to
definitely.
have something that's quiet and fast.
Yeah.
And ultimately, speed isn't the big name of the game. I think that if you've got a quiet setup that's relatively quick,
Yeah.
you can get the job done.
Yeah. And, like, going to what we were talking about with that big buck, I mean, quiet isn't like quiet and like I'd honestly I think I'd be more interested in speed, but then I'd be curious to get your scale out and see how much each weighs, because the weight of the arrow is going to be different. I mean, I was
Yeah,
shooting at 30 yards. We didn't have Allen keys. We weren't like trying to sight our bows in. We were just kind of shooting because we're a little rusty, knock the rust off.
yeah,
I mean, each arrow was like missing probably by 4 or 5 inches low. So
mm-hmm.
we're going to have to adjust, which, I mean, obviously isn't going to be a big deal. But
Yeah,
I'd be more important. Like, I'd be more focused on making sure that arrow gets to the deer. But I mean, watching him, all the trail camera footage I had of him last year, I was sitting in class with you, like, dude, there's 100,
yeah,
there's 180-inch deer in front of my spot right now. It's like 3:30 in the afternoon. I'm like,
oh
I
yeah,
hate this. Like, I'm really pissed off right now.
yeah,
And then, like, I should have learned from my mistake.
right.
But I mean, I was a senior in college, and we have at our college we have an organic chemistry teacher, and he's like, if you don't come to the labs, like, you're screwed.
Yeah,
You're
big
gonna have
time.
to come, and you're gonna have to do other stuff. And I was like, man, I got this organic chemistry lab. It goes right to 4. It's too late to run home an hour away, go get in the tree stand, hunt, and, like, I mean, by that point he was already there. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so I think this year it's going to be an all day set. But I mean, right now I'm really kicking myself because in the morning at like 8 in the morning I'm like skinning deer at the local deer shack,
Yeah.
and I get a text on my phone from my dad, and he's like, "Huge buck, huge buck, huge buck," and I open the Tacticam, and there he was. I
Oh
was like,
yeah,
oh
right
my
there.
gosh, like, it's like November 16th.
Yeah.
Huge buck running around in this field. Anybody can shoot him 300 yards away. You just drop him in his tracks, and he's just running around tending this doe. And the
Yeah.
landowner was telling me, he's like, yeah, I was watching him all day, sitting on my back porch with my binoculars. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, he's watching these deer. And he's like, yeah, there was like 4 bucks out in the field. So I was like, dude, what am
Yeah.
I doing? Like,
Yeah. Right. What am I
and
doing
that's
wrong?
and that's the second consecutive year that's happened. Because the year
Yeah.
before, we had a real big, beautiful, typical 10 point. Sadly, he got shot this year. It wasn't by me. It was another hunter. Got to meet him, and it was super, super cool. But he, on the same day, that same doe went into heat, and he was running stupid. And he had another running buck that
Yeah.
kind of would show up, and he was like 10 point. That, I mean, we're talking perfectly typical 165-inch, like, probably had 2 inches of deductions. And
Yeah.
last year I saw him in velvet. Oh, he was beautiful. He was probably like, I mean, he put probably 30 inches of bone on his head. He he was pushing 190 inches as that perfectly typical. I mean, he was one of the, I think he's personally the biggest deer I've ever laid eyes on.
Yeah.
And he was running with that other
Mm-hmm.
split G2 buck, and I mean they were running out in that field with that doe, and the guy's like, "Yeah, I could have shot him, but I didn't have a gun that would make it that far with my iron sights because he's an old farmer." And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay,
That's what he's got.
but
That's what I rock.
yeah, oh
Look,
yeah,
I'm not gonna shot and be like, yeah, as much as I love the arrows and
yeah,
as much as I love shooting my bow, it's like when gun season comes around, I pick up my shotgun because
yeah,
that's what I grew up doing. I remember going to deer camp every year. Dad would pull me out of school and we'd leave, and so it's like that's kind of that part of it. There's something about
oh yeah,
hunting deer with a gun that it's like every year, and mind you, I won't spend that whole block of gun season with my shotgun.
yeah,
But first few days, that
oh
first
yeah,
weekend I get
oh
to do it,
100%,
I'm out there with my shotgun, and
100%,
if a nice doe walks in front of me,
blaster,
it's just
yeah,
getting the hammer, and you know me, I'm after
yeah,
I'm trying to fill the freezer
yeah.
every
You're
single
you're
time I go
you're
out.
looking,
Yeah,
if you find 100-pound doe, you're not going to shoot her because you know that there's a 200-pound doe.
yeah, it's like
Personally, I'm like, if I find a 130-pound buck, I'm like, he can wait till next year. I'm hunting a 200-pound buck, but
yeah,
that's not really because of the. He's also a 130-pound buck with a little basket rack. I'm like, I've been really blessed to shoot some real nice deer
yeah,
in my younger years. So I'm just like, I don't really want to shoot that. Now, I don't have anything against anybody that does.
yeah.
I
Me,
mean, like, you've never shot. You've never. We did track a big buck.
we
You
did
shot,
track a big buck. Yeah,
but
did not find it. Oh my god, that was a long track.
yeah, we tracked him for like 3-4 miles, like across people's properties
Yeah,
into this cornfield.
and for
And
anybody wondering, it was not a bad shot.
no, I mean,
Like he
like
saw the
was
blood trail.
pouring.
You could,
He was pouring.
I mean, red carpet for what 70, 80 yards,
Yeah, I was like,
and then nothing.
and thinking back on that, I can't be 100% sure. We may have bumped him. I'm not sure. Like he
Yeah,
hears you coming, and as like looking back on it, you were shooting a G5 Monotech,
yeah,
right?
G5 Montec. Yeah,
So me thinking back on it, I say, all right, like you were blowing my phone up at 8 in the morning, like, hey, I just shot this giant deer, need your help tracking it. It's
I
like,
didn't. Now, mind you, I didn't track it. Like I went, I looked at the initial blood. I found my piece of arrow, which was in the first 30, not even 30, maybe
mm,
20 yards of where he ran. Like that first little stretch, I said, all right, here's first blood. Here's the rest of my arrow shaft. I marked it with my arrow, remember?
mm-hmm.
And then I left. And I came back with you, and that was what, 2.5 hours later?
Yeah, but I
Because we
mean,
had to wait for you to get out of class.
yeah, and I wonder if you put it in that shoulder and that Monotech blade just kind of like busted or
Shattered.
something. It's hard like watching that like red carpet and that, like of blood, and there was bubbles in it. Like you totally hit a lung, no question that you hit a lung.
Hit something.
And I was like, if we would have waited till like hit that 5 hour mark, I wonder if he would have been dead like a lot closer. Like I wonder if he like went and bedded down. But that's a deer I truly wish I would have been able to lay my eyes on. And we tracked
Yeah.
him right in front of somebody else's trail camera. I don't know why we didn't just try to be like, hey,
Yeah.
because we got out into this cornfield, and then the wind was just blowing the leaves,
Yeah.
and
'Cause
we
we
were still
got,
following just drops, and it was like,
yeah.
and I remember the last drop of blood.
By the time we got permission to track the property, it was the wind had picked up and the leaves were blowing everywhere, and
With
it
like
was like,
flipping leaves back over to
yeah,
find blood. We did find a little bit, and you're like, hey, look, here's some blood, and then the wind blew and it flaked the blood right off the leaf.
yeah.
It was like,
It
oh,
was devastating.
we were like grid searching that entire cornfield looking for
Yeah,
that deer. And
I think he either went out there because we found blood, what, 20 yards down. Like the last drop that we found was on that leaf, not right there in front of the trail cam, but just past it.
yeah,
And then
but
that
at
was
that
it.
point, it was like open cornfield. Did he go left? Did he go right? Did he go into the corn? I
Yeah,
have to imagine he went into the corn, but it was like
where,
Where?
and
And you'd think there would have been blood on the
we
corn.
grid searched it.
Yeah, we
Right?
did.
We grid searched it. It was like nothing. And so I think he either went all the way down and went. There's that swampy area, and I
Yeah,
walked around the swamp. I
to the
walked around the
north.
swamp, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
just to see if maybe he ran down here, see if anything's going on, any blood, see if the deer's there,
Yeah.
nothing. And so I almost wondered, did he go down in there and
Yeah.
shoot?
And that's another thing that I was thinking. Like when we have a buddy that he'll be, this is his first year bow hunting,
Yeah,
and we just got him the hookup with I don't even know the broadhead name, but they're real big and it looks like pretty well built.
the German Jaegers.
Yeah, that's it. The German Jaegers. If you know anything about them, leave a comment, tell us, give us a review about them because we've never tested them personally. But I mean, I'd love to see how those things do because in a situation like that, like you said, he was broadside. You said you thought he put it in the crease, but who knows? Like it's difficult to tell broadside versus that slight quarter.
Well, you got to think it. So he snapped my arrow off when he flipped right initial hit. So there was only that much true penetration.
And if he snapped that arrow off and there was that much inside the chest cavity, that's all you need. Because I mean that.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know, but that was not a great day for me. That was rough.
Yeah.
That was rough on the soul.
Yeah, no doubt.
But it's something I learned from, and it was after that I really got into the arrows because I was like, is it too light? Is it too? And I almost think that arrow was too heavy for that bow.
You think? Oh yeah, because you were shooting a Diamond Infinite Edge, right?
Yeah, that was when I had my diamonds, which is it did not shoot that fast.
And let's be honest, like you're a big guy, like you shouldn't have been shooting a kid-sized bow. And at that point, I was shooting a diamond, so like I shouldn't have been. Right? Neither of us should have been shooting that size of bow.
When you got what are those things, like a 28-inch axle?
Yeah,
like tiny.
And you got that thing cranked, and you're like, how many pounds can I put into this thing?
Yeah, I got it pretty much torqued down as much as I can, which allegedly they go up to 70, but I'll be honest, I don't know if those things actually pull 70. That was an easy 70 is what that was.
Yeah.
And it's like you can tell now that I've got my Darden, right? I love my Darden. My Darden, I remember the first time I shot an arrow through it, I was like, this is not only like the 70 felt heavier, not hard, but you could tell there was the system in place within the cams and the cables, everything. You could tell it was hunting was what it was made to do.
Mm-hmm. No doubt,
right? And the way it shoots, you've seen me shoot it. It's quick.
I've shot it.
You shot it, yeah. It's quick. It's pretty quiet. It's and it does damage. But then you pair a bow that's got those aspects, or rather, a bow that doesn't, like the Diamond, which is pretty much. It was kind of how it came. It was stock. I didn't put a ton of work into it.
$5 sight, and Dad went to the store, and I was 8, and bought a $20 Cabela's brand release, and it was like, here you go outside and shoot.
Yeah, I think my release was almost as much as the bow was. Yeah, you know what I mean? I had I had a Cobra. I still like that Cobra, but it had a set of gold tip arrows. They were the Primos Edition Hunter series.
Yeah.
300 spine, and
my first ones were Easton Storms.
They were like what were they? What were those things? I remember I weighed them. They were 400 and something grain, like high force, like 480, 490 something, which is that was pretty heavy. And I remember you remember when I shot those, it was kind of like a boom.
Yeah.
Every time, and it kind of lobed.
Yeah.
The drop off on those arrows, because I put that dial sight on it, and the drop off was so significant. I couldn't shoot past, I think, 75 yards. That night that was the farthest I ever shot with them.
We had a buddy Steve was shooting his dial and his target bow.
He's got a setup.
Yeah, that is also true. Like
Steve could shoot.
I remember, like that was the craziest thing. He's like sitting there, and he shot like tournaments when he was young, like trained, and he was sitting there, and he's like, His exact words like, now that I think about it, I know what I'm doing wrong. And then he just like at 80 yards was putting dimes in
Yeah,
like
dude,
putting
it's wicked.
like penny sized groups at 80 yards. And you're darting, you're just like, or not you're darting, you're
Your
diamond. You're
diamond,
just like
yeah.
flinging arrows and you can't even make it to the target.
I was aiming with the bottom of my bubble.
Yeah,
Like
I was.
it was as far as it could go, and I was like bottom of the bubble, just like ah. That was the farthest I ever shot with that,
Yeah.
and that's the farthest I could.
Mm-hmm.
It was all I could do.
Yeah. And I'm excited for our buddy because he's shooting my diamond this year. But
Yeah,
it's going to be another one of those things when we're shooting far. Let's like we gotta let him. We gotta make sure that we're only shooting far with the two of us because I felt so bad. Like I couldn't imagine how like I feel bad now thinking like man like me and Steve are out here shooting 80 yards when your bow can't make it past 60.
and that's the other thing. It's like when you go from a bow that can't in 80 yards.
80
80 yards
yards
is
is ridiculous.
It's significant, but
Yeah.
if when you put it in this context, I've shot 110 with my darting accurately
Mm-hmm.
or relatively accurate.
Yeah.
Like
you
high
can
play
hit,
accuracy, right?
Yeah.
I could kill an elk,
Whatever.
Pie plate accuracy, and you go from a diamond that couldn't, and then you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I was shooting that heavy arrow on a bow that couldn't fling it that far, then at 20 yards, how hard could it possibly hit it? Now, mind you, yeah, sure, definitely should have killed that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, it definitely had enough, but then I look at my setup now, those are 518 grain arrows, which is just excessive.
Yeah, I'd
But
be curious to measure.
I built an
Measure
excessive, and those are balanced exactly how I wanted them. I balanced those arrows. They've got the components I wanted. I picked out the components from
Yeah.
Ethics Archery. I picked out my components. I got, I think I got, no, I got the Sierra Archery wraps on those.
Gotcha.
So I got wraps that are. I chose the length because I wanted that much weight in the back. I went with the heat vanes, keep it light. I added helical to it to give it drag. Like the arrows flying through the air, they're super balanced.
Mm-hmm.
And even though you take 518 grains, I can fling it at 100 yards.
Oh, no doubt.
And it flies just fine. It's not like I need an excessive arc or an excessive thing. That's how it shoots.
Yeah.
And they shoot wicked.
Yeah. For sure.
That bow shoots fast in general.
Yeah.
But and then getting kind of back to what we were talking about with you and like what we're messing around with is you need to find the arrow, like the arrow setup.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, especially when you get into it as much as we've been getting into it, and you really dive deep into the hunting side of things and the lethality side of things.
Mm-hmm.
What is going to be the most lethal? And that is,
and you owe that to the animal. Is to
big
do
time.
that.
Oh, big
is
time.
to do that research.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's something that's my biggest regret beforehand is not understanding it.
mm-hmm.
Like when I shot that deer and then didn't get it.
Yeah.
That it still bugs me. Like it still annoys the snot out of me, and it's knowing what I know now. If I would have known what I know now back then, it would have been different. I would have made those arrows likely would have been lighter, right? Mm-hmm. They would have been lighter. It would have been a light and fast setup.
Yeah.
Versus just I don't know, whatever I was given.
Let it fly.
Yeah, that's kind of my mentality for so long, and it was just like, oh yeah, this'll work.
Yeah.
Not always.
Yeah.
So, and I do think if you're gonna go buy a set of arrows, yeah, and this is not to steer anybody away from it, but do some research.
Oh, for sure.
Do a little bit of research and make sure you understand. Because I always thought, I switched to those. I went to the Montex because my goal was I was like, I want to blow it through the shoulder and just rupture everything. In reality, that's not always the move.
And was that 100 grain?
Yeah,
that's 100. Like
I'm shooting 125s now.
I'm not 100% sure that 100 grain Monotech could make it through a shoulder. Yeah, I mean, we'd have to test that, but like.
And I'm sure there's testing out there.
Oh, for sure.
And I'm sure with the right build, or the right bow, or the right this, or the right that, it can. Absolutely. I mean, they are fixed blade broadheads, so to an extent, they're made to do that,
Yeah.
right? But now I'm shooting the Grim Reapers.
Mm-hmm.
I like them. They're just the 3 blade, open up,
Yeah.
and
I like how they open.
yeah,
That was another thing that I was really really nervous about before, like when getting into
mm-hmm.
like fixed blades, because a lot of them, you know, they kind of open like this,
Yeah,
like, but if for some reason something doesn't catch, and modern like broadhead technology has gotten so good that I don't think there's one that's not going to catch. You know,
yeah,
I one time I went and shot my dad's when he was shooting a compound bow, just his mechanical broadheads, and I was like, man, these things are terrible. These are horrible. They won't open
yeah.
up. I shot him into like a foam target, and it was not opening. It was like, okay,
I remember the ones my dad used to have, the ones that had the rubber band on it,
yeah, that's what my
and
dad
he had to
had.
go buy new rubber bands like halfway through it because if they sat, my dad, you had to bring the broadheads inside every night because
Mm-hmm.
if they just sat in the cold all the time, the rubber bands would wear out like in
Yeah,
like a week.
but to give Grim Reaper like their point, if you're in an open area
Yeah,
and you're not shooting through like thick, like, which you should never be shooting through thick,
no, no,
like,
no.
you know, like unless you're doing stuff like the hunting public is, where they're like on the ground shooting through brush. But then that calls for a fixed blade, which is a whole nother ball game.
Yeah,
We can
that's
talk about, you know, at a different time.
absolutely.
But you know, I like how the Grim Reaper opens like this. You
Yeah,
know, and the tabs on them are big enough where it will always open.
yeah.
And it's magnetic, so it's not holding it very. It's holding it just strong enough where it won't open in the flight.
Well, it's
Which
spring loaded.
is it spring
It's
loaded?
spring
I
loaded.
thought there
Yeah.
was a little magnet in
No, I had to take them out because I shot them in my target.
there. Mm,
Which
well,
and they're still sharp, and
no,
they're
no
still
doubt,
sharp.
no doubt. I definitely want to get into some broadhead sharpening with those fixed blades.
We will definitely have to look into that and see how that plays out. And I actually have a friend, also named Joe, ironically, who I hunt with, and he hunts with fixed blades.
Hmm.
Pretty much only. And he said, I bought this.
What fixed blades?
No idea. He couldn't even tell me. He's like, they're 20 years old. He goes, I don't even sharpen them. And he's got a pretty much new Hoyt,
Mm-hmm.
right? New Hoyt. He's got these arrows, whatever, and he basically has a guy go. Same guy just makes him some arrows everyone like whenever he
Mm-hmm.
needs new arrows. But he uses these things, but he leaves them kind of dull. They're sharp,
Mm-hmm.
right? But they're not razor blades because he wants it to do some tearing.
Do some tearing, yeah. I've
And
heard of that.
and I've heard of that a couple
I've
times, but
I've
he's
heard
the
of that
only
more for
person.
turkeys. I've
Yes.
heard of it as like you want to shoot that turkey because if that arrow zips right through them, they fly away. But if that arrow sticks, then you can run up to them and then you can like properly euthanize it in seconds. Where if you zip that arrow right through it and
Yeah.
it goes and flies away, like hypothetically, say it's a long shot and you kill it in a minute, a turkey can go really far in 1 minute. It
Yes,
could. I
they
mean, like
can.
we've cleared a field in seconds. Like it's just like we walk out there, the turkeys are there 1 second, then they're
Yeah.
not. Like
They
and
they get up
that's
and
them
go.
running.
Yeah.
And then like if a turkey doesn't want to be seen, they won't be seen. Like
Yeah.
if a turkey like beds down, I remember years ago, I with your deer story, I had a turkey story. It was the same thing.
Yeah.
I it was the coolest. Like I called him into like 5 or 10 yards,
Mm-hmm.
and my stupid young self with my Mossberg 500, I aimed right at its forehead, and I flinched. I shot over its head, but I mean, it was strutting, and I hit feathers. There were feathers everywhere, and it was flopping around, and I was like, oh, cool. So I walked out there to get it, and it got up and ran away.
Yeah.
Pumped another one. Click. Old gun doesn't, you know, some rounds or maybe old rounds. Who knows? Pumped another one. Boom! I hit it again as it was running. Then it ran into another piece of private, and I never found it. I even got a dog out there, and I felt so sick to my stomach. I mean, it was so thick. It was like I
Yeah.
just like they go in bed, and the hardest part for me to overcome as a hunter with that was knowing that turkey like died. I knew it died because I watched him every single day. He was three hens. This Tom, I watched him every single day. Three hens, Tom. Three hens, Tom. Three hens, Tom. Then the next day, three hens, no Tom.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, that turkey's dead somewhere, and it was, I killed it, and I just like there's 40 acres of woods that is
Yeah.
just so thick you can barely walk through, and you got a dog dragging you through it,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't find the turkey
Yeah, that is the most. It's the most gut wrenching
for any
feeling.
hunter
Now
with
I
any animal.
now the one. I mean, we're pretty sure it died. The one that I shot up here or
Mm-hmm.
down here, with you, and then earlier that season, literally opening day, October 1st, I hit one with a rage broadhead, and this should have been my like awakening to it. Now, mind you, it was 5 feet from the base of my tree stand, and
Oh, I forgot about this
I
deer.
hit the top of the shoulder, and this deer did not die. We've still got this deer on camera, but
Today?
uh, we did at the end of last year, yeah.
Oh, that's sweet.
And I call him Scar because
He's got the scar.
he's got a big scar, but the broadhead didn't even like it went twang off the top of the shoulder blade and just and he just it literally knocked him over for a second. And I went, oh my god! He crashed into the base of the tree, spun up, took off, and I'm like, I remember when I found out he was still alive. I was like, whew. And then I told my dad about it. He was like, yeah, you gotta avoid that shoulder with the rages.
Thanks, Dad.
And then I remember
It's like
watching
a dad comment, right?
I remember watching videos of like people not getting deer with the rage because they kept hitting the shoulder blade. Nothing against rage; they're
Mhm.
killers,
Yeah,
no
Eli
doubt.
shot his
But
bear with the hypodermics.
yeah, but a shoulder blade on a broadhead like that style, and Grim Reapers are likely to be similar.
Yeah, they're pretty similar broads.
Arguably, the Grim Reaper that the ferrule of the broadhead is a little bit meatier and has a little bit. I think it's a little bit harder hitting.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think the blade is going to get you hung up, especially
Yeah,
if you hit the actual like shoulder
yeah,
instead of just the scapula.
yeah.
But kind of on that note, I didn't. I went to. That's when I switched. I switched to the G5 because I went. Oh well, this one didn't work, and so I was like, well, what do fixed blades do? And then it was like fixed blades hit harder. They go through things. They blow through the shoulder, and then it's
Then you
like,
had that other experience, and you're like, fixed blades suck.
and I was like, okay, maybe it's not the broadhead. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's the arrow. Maybe it's the bow. And I didn't just scrap everything. I legitimately hunted. I shot that diamond until it blew up.
Yeah,
I shot it too. I shot
to the
it
point where
literally
it blew
too.
up in your hand. Yeah,
Yeah, pretty much. And that was like I was shooting 400 or 500 arrows a day.
yeah.
It was ridiculous. I'd spend hours of my day out there just shooting.
Getting good.
And I'll tell you what, it paid off. Paid off big time. And then when it blew up, I got my Darton, and that was a brand new 2019 Darton. Got it set up, and that has been my pride and joy ever since. And now I've got the Element Archery. Huge shout out. I'm on field staff for them,
Mm-hmm.
and that's been awesome.
Yeah, but as let's take a second, hold that thought, and let's take a break. Go and I need to get more root beer, and we'll see you guys here in 1 second. And we're back.
Yes, sir.
While we're on the topic of fixed blades, or broadheads, I kind of grabbed the two.
Yeah. For
These
sure.
German Jaegers, they just look neat.
Yeah, they look.
They look like they're going to just cut whatever's in their way, and we haven't even opened them yet. So when we do, we'll give them the test. And if they can, if they can cut through a receipt, I don't see why they can't. We can't just
use them as is.
Yeah,
but
we'll probably have to touch them up just a little bit, I'd assume.
The biggest thing with fixed blade is arrow steerage. I feel like, in my opinion, yeah, you can get away with it with just the standard. But our buddy who's going to be running those this year, he's using pretty standard arrow, just something you can get at
Victory,
any shop.
Something
sports. Are they sports? I don't think they're
I have
sports.
No idea.
I don't remember, but they've only got that 2-inch vein,
Yeah,
and those two
just
inch
the stock, the
standard,
mass produced.
2-inch vein, and those are great. No helical, just straight up that. That's fine. That is totally fine, and we can tune it, we can adjust it as needed. Now, if we find that it's like, whoa, like way out of whack, then we can always play around with it. I
Oh, for
can,
sure.
even if it's like we scrap it, we give them a quick, just a standard boning wrap,
Yeah.
and throw on some QTYs or your
A's.
heats or AEs or whatever, just something simple and not something that's going to be overly noisy. And that's what we were playing around with this, and we'll get right to this once we kind of get
Yeah.
through this. But um, just something that maybe gives him a little bit more steer if we're having trouble with it. Like
Mm-hmm.
if it's like if it's a massive, massive, flight pattern difference, or like it's kind
Yeah.
of buzzing everywhere, and we need to really help him get dialed in, especially for a first time hunter,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And someone who's really getting into it. I don't want to just like kind of throw him in, and we're gonna help him through it. We're gonna
Oh,
walk
for
him through the
sure. Walk them through
process.
the process. Kind of teach them as we go.
Yeah, so
And
make
I'd like, how cool would it be if like
yeah,
4 years, 5 years from now, and he's just like sitting here with us and just like knows and is right there, like able to keep
yeah.
up and
Oh,
just
for
is like,
sure.
I'm super excited. I'm really excited with Noah
Yeah,
joining the team, and
and it's gonna be interesting because like I've learned a lot from you, right? And I'm
and
sure
I've
you,
learned a ton from you,
right?
especially when it comes to the realm of fishing. Like I had
Yeah,
no idea anything. Like
yeah,
let's go throw a purple Senko and see what we can catch.
right, yeah, and you get into different things like bird hunting. I do a lot of turkey hunting up north, and you do a lot of turkey hunting kind of more down here.
Yeah, and I remember I
Two
was
different
like,
styles.
yeah, and I was
Two
like
different
sitting and I
styles.
was like, I'm like getting frustrated with you. I'm like, dude, this is how you hunt turkeys down here, and you're like, no, this. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. And then it was like, all right,
And it took
you
me,
just go sit home after
yeah,
4 hunts and us just like sucking. You just
yeah.
go sit home,
It's two totally different.
and
I'm
I go home.
used,
I go and hunt twice. I hunt the morning where I forget my calls, almost kill a bird,
yeah.
and then the evening, I
You gotta play the birds down here just so different, and it was
oh my
something that took
gosh,
me. It didn't click
yeah,
because I'm so used to the run and gun. Like that's what we do up north. It's there's you're not hunting open fields. You're hunting like little slots of woods that you can kind of see through.
mm-hmm.
That's all you're hunting, and maybe a small opening, a little bigger than this room.
Yeah,
You're throwing a couple decoys in, and that's it. A lot of
yeah.
times,
And I noticed, we'll stay on the track of broadheads, but the last thing I want to say about that is like turkeys don't like. You hear that rooster?
yeah,
You just had a rooster go off. But turkeys do not like being yelled at.
yeah,
You just got to really like if you just soft clucks in that tom will like
which
you,
is
you
different.
do for me like my strategy with turkeys is soft cluck, soft cluck, soft cluck, just so the tom knows you're there. And if he's henned up, which mine was this spring, when like those hens were trying to walk him away, my soft clucks just kept him like staying in his area. And then when those hens got like 50 yards away from him, I just like yelp, 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 cluck, 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 yelp, 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 like just like let it eat.
Yeah,
And that tom just turned around and walked right towards me. Then those hens went running back to him and tried to steer him away, and he just kept. He's like, "All right, I'm walking this way," and then the hens kind of just led the way right to me, and I blasted him.
yeah.
But going shifting our focus. You know what I really want to try with broadheads, but I can't afford right now. I want to try the Beast broadheads by Bomar.
Those look
Interesting.
those look interesting.
I
Yeah,
like
I think
I've been following Bomar and their Bomar Outdoors and their like African
yeah,
like thing
they do.
and watching him like shoot like a giraffe
A water
with
buffalo?
a water buffalo and have a pass through with these broadheads with this like
Absolutely
bone
incredible.
avoiding technology, like that sounds awesome. And
Yeah.
I would like to try them at some point just to see like what it's all about. I also watched the video when he shot it through like a cowhide and then like a deer rib cage and he put
Mm-hmm.
like organs in it. And they're like seeing the bone avoiding technology in person was like super super awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But so I'd be curious to try it, but you know, I think this year I'm going to stick with Grim Reapers, and maybe next summer
Yeah.
like venture out a little bit.
I think if I'm able to take one down, take a deer or doe, even just first goal, get some meat in the freezer
Oh,
because
for sure.
that's what we're gonna eat this
Well,
year,
that's the
right?
Labor. That's the Memorial Labor Day, whatever the early doe season.
Yeah,
Like, hopefully, both of us get striking.
get something down.
Both of us get kill some deer.
But and then after that, it's like I got a couple other broadheads. I got my Ferrum broadheads, which are a fixed blade
Mm-hmm.
that are a little bit more slimmed down, but have a very similar cutting like width to those Jaegers.
Yeah.
They're also a little bit heavier built. They're all steel,
Yeah.
like just they're made to do damage. They're made to hit hard, and they do, and they do. And I could bring those. I'll show you. Make sure I get you. We'll show you those and sometime here in the future. But I don't know. I'm excited for this year. I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited to get to. I think that the teaching component that we're kind of stepping into for Noah
Mm-hmm.
is going
With
to
Nolan,
be
yeah.
the most. I think it's going to be super impactful on both of us, but B, I think we're going to actually learn more out of
Yeah.
it
Oh,
because
no
it's
doubt.
we're going from a like a doing perspective and kind of working with each other to figure out how we're gonna like plan out or coordinate hunts or
Mm-hmm.
work through hunts or how we're gonna work out arrows and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to just be like, oh yeah, this is how we do it. So blah blah blah, and like here you go and give him like a full blown crazy
Yeah.
setup.
Give him a crazy setup, 20 acres and a tree stand, and say, "Go ahead, go
Yeah,
kill it."
but and I don't want to just be like, oh yeah, those don't hunt with those veins, don't hunt with those arrows.
Yeah.
Use
No.
these, use this.
Like test. Like, same thing with those tack bands.
I want him
Test.
to experience that hunt with the stuff that he got,
Mm-hmm.
right? Those arrows. Now, if we get shooting those things, those veins, it is those broadheads are throwing them suckers way off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then it's like, all right, let's take a step back,
No
and
doubt.
let's see how we can work around this.
Mm-hmm.
And if we got to throw some new veins on it, we got to do that. But because we, at the end of the day, we want to set him up for success,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to work with him, but give him the tools so that way, years down the road, if he's still into it, he knows what he can do. He knows
Yeah.
what he's got to do, and he knows the people
Yeah. And
to help him get the job done.
I am really like proud of the dude because like I told him, I was like, no, like we're sitting at the bow shop, and we're like, no. I was like, dude, like these. I pointed at the stingers, the
Yeah.
mantis stingers. I think is.
Uh.
Oh
Yeah.
no, wait,
Beef.
was it? I don't
No.
know. The ones with the little bleeders. It
Yeah.
was the double
Stingers.
bevel.
Hornets. Hornet? No.
I have no idea. I don't know my fixed blades that well.
Me neither.
I know the mantis stingers aren't the ones I was talking about.
Okay.
But as I was like telling him about it, he's like, "I like these ones. Can I try these?" I was like, "Sure." I don't know. I mean, they're kind of like right there with them. They're name brand. Like I trust our bow shop is Shoepex. I trust everything that they have in there, and
Yeah.
I trust the people at Shoepex with my bow fully.
Oh, for sure.
And they were the ones that really hooked me up right before the bear season. You got the arrows.
Mm-hmm.
We got everything set up with the arrows with you, and then I took my bow there and I was like, hey, we just have it tuned, just check it, get a new D loop tied on, make sure the peep is on, and and like just work with the people at
Yeah.
Shoepex, and really really thankful for Don and everybody over there for really helping me out.
Yeah.
But
They've helped me out quite a bit too,
yeah,
for sure.
they're just great people to go in there and just like bounce questions off of.
Yeah.
And as long as you don't go in there like
And your local bow shop is gonna be that place.
always,
As long as
always it's
it's
gonna be like that.
and you kind of got to read it a little bit, but
Like if like when I went in there with Noah, there was like a line of like 10 people ready to get their bows worked on. We're 2 months out of season. Everybody's trying to get everything done. It's like they don't have time to sit there and just like just talk. So you got to be cognizant of that. But if you went in December, and everybody's done bow hunting.
Yep.
Probably target season, but you don't get nearly as many target hunter or target shooters as you get
Yeah.
bow shooters. Like, just go in there and talk. Go in there and bounce your ideas off of them, and like
Mm-hmm.
see like, hey, this works, or I've tried it personally, don't like it, and that's how I landed with Matthews. Is I talked with a bunch of guys, and yeah, the right thing came up, but I was there, and I talked to them like, what are your like pros and cons, and I got to shoot an Elite, a Hoyt, and a Matthews, and honestly, like I thought Elite was right there. Like I thought their
Mm-hmm.
Elite and Matthews were the same, but the Hoyt wasn't for me, and that's okay. Like
Yeah.
I've the RX7, that right. That is
I thought you shot the RX-5.
well, I've shot both,
Oh.
but the RX7 isn't for me. But it's a great bow.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just not for me. I really like Matthews. I like the draw cycle on my VXR. It's a little older, and
Mm-hmm.
I love the draw cycle on the Phase 4. And eventually, I'll probably like transition to a Phase 4. But you know, this bow kills a deer just as dead as any other bow. So, like,
Yep.
you don't need to be switching things up until something becomes like unusable. So,
For sure. For sure. Unless it's not usable. It's
yeah,
just
literally, unless it's like a Diamond Infinite Edge that when you draw it, it blows up in your hand, then you're
yeah.
scrambling before deer season. But
Hey, but we got it figured out. That was midsummer too, so I had time. But yeah, I think local bow shop is going to be a place that's got good resources. Obviously, they're going to carry a lot of things you're going to need, but they're also going to have some knowledge in it. A lot of those guys are bow hunters or
yeah,
competition shooters or some mix of the two,
yeah,
right? And they know what they're talking about. They know what they like, right? And they're definitely gonna. There's gonna be some variation in opinions, but also some
hmm
bias
oh
in those
yeah,
opinions,
yeah.
right?
Like you're biased towards Darton. You're a Darton guy, and I'm like,
I like okay, I like a lot of brands, right? I think that there's a lot of different things. I've shot Prime, I've shot Obsession, I've shot Hoyts, I've shot Matthews, I've shot obviously Dartons, I've shot
you shot Elite.
yeah,
Yeah, I love Elite.
Elite was really good.
And what I love about Elite is their like package where it's like if your bow breaks on a hunt,
Yeah.
they'll ship you a brand new one for your cost, like
Oh, and I've
ready
shot
to hunt.
Bowtech too. Bowtech. I liked the Bowtech I shot. I
Yeah,
really liked that.
I
But
I've heard good things about both.
at the end of the day, I got a really good deal on my Darden. It was brand new,
Mm-hmm.
never been shot, and it has been like the bow I've always wanted,
Hmm.
right? For me. And I got to shoot some of those new ones that they dropped last year.
I remember sitting eating breakfast with you, and you're like, "Dude, they just dropped another one. They're dropping 4 today."
I was like, oh my god, I was so excited. But I
Yeah.
got to shoot it was the 33-inch something or other, and I went. It was kind of like I wish if I had the money for it right now, I would have bought it.
Mm-hmm.
It was that I was really shocked.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way I can describe it. It was great, but I like what I like, right? I really, really like that new Darden. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't. There's some different things I like about Matthews. There's some things I don't care for as much about Matthews. And not your bow in particular,
No,
just
for sure.
like in general.
That's
My
how everybody
biggest
is.
thing against Hoyts, I hate the grips on Hoyts. I
Yeah.
really like the draw cycle on Hoyts. Won't lie to you, but cannot stand the way they feel in my hand.
Yeah.
And that's just me,
Yeah.
right?
I
Everybody's gonna
personally
have
don't
their.
like the draw cycle on Darton. Like
You just
shooting
don't
your
like. You don't like mine.
well, yeah, I guess yeah, that's also true. But I just don't like how I have to like put a whole bunch of effort to get it going, and then just it's like butter for the rest of it. Like I would rather have like easy because if that buck is there, and you're like and you're getting ready to draw, and you kind of go half draw,
Yeah.
and that buck looks up at you, you can sit at half draw for a second. Where with darting, you got to go like and that little bit of movement in my thought could potentially.
Yeah.
So that's just that. But we can that's
The
another talk
other
for another time though.
the other thing is, I guess in this case, I have a longer draw length.
That is
So
also true.
for mid draw where you're at, I'm if I'm in that same spot, it's different,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like where you get that feeling, you're going to be more outstretched because you have to stretch out to get my bow all the way back.
Yeah.
Where for me, it's like I'm right in a I'm right in a spot of a stronghold,
Yeah.
and it's not as big of a deal. Where it same goes, well, I guess a little different because your bow would be is a touch short for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as far as bows go, find the one that feels right in your hands.
Yeah.
And if it's maybe it's a
You'll know
slower bow,
when
maybe
you
it's
go in there and shoot. You'll know as
yeah,
soon as like you'll walk in there and be like, I like that. You'll get to shoot it. I really like that.
yeah, you'll know right away. You'll know
So.
right away, and that is something big for people. I think if you're picking out a bow or you're looking to get a new one,
Mm-hmm.
shoot a bunch, try a
Yeah.
bunch, get a feel
Try your
for them.
buddies. Don't whatever you do. Don't dry fire your buddies.
Yeah, don't do
Yeah.
that. Don't do that. That would be a costly mistake.
Yeah, and your buddy would not be probably your buddy for
Yeah.
much longer.
And as far as arrows go, pick what you can. Just kind of get something
Mm-hmm.
that works for you. I would make sure you work with a bow shop, or if you know somebody that does it, like I take care of Joe's,
Mm-hmm.
as well as myself, and we've got a few other buddies that I do arrows for. But I make sure they all weigh the right amount. I make sure they're all cut to the right length.
Mm-hmm.
I make sure that the wraps balance the rest of the arrow out. I make sure that if we're rocking, like I take a bunch of things into consideration based off of wraps and veins and whether we want helical, whether we want no helical, whether we just want offset.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we got into today with
Yeah.
this. Just
Yeah.
do we want we're steering away from helical.
Yeah. Definitely. And if we do, not as intense as a 3 degree, no
Yeah.
doubt. Like
I think we're gonna go away from helical, and if we do anything, we might go like a 2 degree
that.
offset.
That was kind of what I was thinking.
And the reason is because it's going to be quieter, and that's why we were kind of looking at um, something that's a little bit meatier, like this Q2i. These are the Fusion X 2s.
Are they?
Yeah,
You remembered or want
yeah,
to check
I
or
just
something?
remembered. These are the Fusion X2 veins in the 3 inch, and then or the AE Max. These are like 2.75 inch. So this is a little bit meatier than the tack veins.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Or I
and
mean,
nothing wrong with the tack veins, but these are a little bit meatier, a little bit heavier. Heat veins are going to be I'm going to call them the most similar to the tack veins in the sense that they are the slimmest of these three, and they're also the stiffest. Like they're physically a harder vein.
mm-hmm.
They're not as soft and pliable, especially as the AEs. The AEs are really soft.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, and we're kind of between the heats and the Q2Is because of the quiet factor.
Yeah.
We want to be quiet because you've got some important hunts
Yeah.
to
Definitely
you,
some important hunts where yeah,
So we need something that's
something
gonna,
that's a little quieter, but
yep,
also if it's windy,
yeah,
how much does that quiet affect? Because if it's windy, that buck's hearing the wind. He's not going to hear that arrow coming.
right. So,
So it's
but
kind of a
then,
difficult. Like you can keep going deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole of
yeah,
what ifs. But at the end of the day, like come September 15th, we got to be like, all right, this is what we're going with.
and we're
And
gonna have it figured out probably in the next week.
I'd assume so. The
Like
one
probably
thing
in the
I
next week,
will,
we'll have it narrowed down and we'll have them built.
yeah,
Like that's the goal. So that way you get almost a month of shooting
of practicing. Yeah.
and get them really dialed in. And we know that these arrows are going to be A, quiet, and B, stable in all conditions
Mm-hmm.
with your Grim Reapers because, when that buck walks out, you're going to have zero doubts.
Yeah, none.
And is it a little bit late to be figuring this out?
Probably.
Sure. But
Probably.
I think between knowing what you want and knowing what we've done for you in the past, or what I've done for you in the past, it makes the process go a lot quicker, and you can have confidence in it.
Mm-hmm.
And whether I think no matter which one of these we go with, it's gonna be a smoke show at the end of the day.
No,
It's gonna be great.
I completely agree. Now the other option is color, because which is obviously less important. The other thing I will say to those listening is, whatever you do today, we are in an what's the word I'm looking for? An unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah,
We're out of arrow glue.
we were out of arrow glue, so
we had to super glue. Don't do that, because
yeah.
I mean, I shot my first 3 shots in the target, and I buried it to the fletchings, and the fletchings popped off 2 of the arrows.
Yeah.
So like, don't use that. But obviously, that's a given, and I just wanted to kind of say that as just kind of a funny, like, just stupid thing. But
we just did it because we were in a pinch and you were wanting to try this, and
yeah, wanting to try it because we're already late.
The ones that did hold up,
honestly, these
worked well.
heats.
Oh, the heats are like on there.
Like, the
heats and the Q2Is actually held up pretty good. The AEs are the only ones that really
kind of
fill up, and I wonder if that had something to do with because they're so soft.
Mm-hmm.
But and that's all. But we did notice that the AEs were louder.
No doubt, hands down.
Are they quiet? Absolutely. Are they way quieter than the mine with the helical? Oh yeah. But I do want to make sure that, like, for anybody listening, anybody watching, like, all of these are
great options,
amazing options. Like, if you're looking into it, these are the 3 that we really narrowed it down to, because it's the 3 that we've used the most.
Mm-hmm.
They're worked with the most, shot the most, and we wanted to take a step back and we know that these 3 are super good in their own right.
Mm-hmm.
But which one is going to be the best for the hunts that you're doing, right? Yeah. I'm more of a, we know this, I'm a generalist hunter. Mm-hmm. I'm after filling the freezer. Now, if a nice buck walks out, I'm gonna take it. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna take that opportunity and take that shot. But at the end of the day, I'm not just hunting. I'm not a trophy hunter by any means, And I'm
also, I go out there with the same thoughts.
Yeah.
I've been lucky, and I've got a couple spots where there's a bunch of huge deer, but the odds are very slim that I am able to harvest one of those deer this year. But there is still a chance. And the biggest buck that I'm hunting around here is probably like 140, 150 inches, which is a really, really nice deer.
That's pretty nice.
That is a really, really nice deer. But
yeah,
it's not the 250 inches that everybody, like, it seems like everybody else on YouTube is hunting, and I'm so excited to, like, dabble. And I've never killed a bow. I've never killed a buck with my bow.
Yep.
So I am so excited to, like, actually check that off this year. I'm also excited to help Noah kill a deer with a bow. Like, that is so awesome. Like, I unfortunately shot my first bow deer was my second bow deer was accidentally a button buck. But but I think it happens to everybody. Like, you get so excited, and you're just like, fling. Yeah, fling, and you get up to it and you're like, oh man.
Yeah.
I was like, what are those little knobs on its head? Those aren't supposed to be there.
Yeah, and at the end of the day,
it's hunting. Like, that's what you live for. Is you live for stories where you're like, you go back and your dad's busting your chops because you just had to tag this 40-pound button buck. And it's like, I mean, it happens to everybody. So don't be discouraged if you go out there and you're hunting a deer and it's like, well, crap, I just made the biggest screw up of my life.
Yeah.
Like, no, like, everybody does it.
Everybody's gonna make mistakes, and odds are, I know countless hunters that have had, they hit this deer and they're pretty sure it died, but they never were able to find it. And I know so many people that happened to, and I think the biggest thing is it's not the end of the world. No. It is, new day is gonna dawn tomorrow, and you if you feel the regret or remorse, or you feel bad, you feel down about it, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
That means
that means you're a human.
that means you genuinely care, and that means that you're gonna take the time and make it your responsibility to make sure that that doesn't happen again.
For sure.
And hopefully you learn from your mistake. I know I did. I grilled myself. I shot relentlessly
Mm-hmm.
after that because I wanted to make sure that the next time a deer stepped out and I had my bow, it was going to go down because and efficiently. Like I'm trying not to. I don't want to mess with. I like tracking. I'm good at tracking, but when it's my deer, I want to make sure that
I'd
I
rather see it
know.
go down in
I
10 yards.
know.
Yep.
Yeah, you want to have that certainty to it. Go, I did it. It's down. Now I just have to go get it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Then I'm gonna go
sometimes
eat it.
still, it's like, the last year I shot, we almost didn't find that because it rained. It started raining, and the blood trail was just disappearing. And guess what? That happens too. So you're up against, the deers.
Mm-hmm.
You're up against the deer running through the woods, and you're up against Mother Nature, and you're up against this is the other stacked against you as a
Oh,
hunter.
no doubt.
Um, but that's kind of the thrill of it. That's part of the adventure. And we got lots of memories to make this year. We
Oh,
got lots
hands
of hunts
down.
to do. We got lots of things to learn, new experiences. Hopefully, we get some awesome stuff on camera.
Yeah. I mean, we've already got some awesome footage of some very special deer that
Yes,
I'm so excited to show. I'm so excited to be able to show it, but
yes,
it's going to be a little while until, we get enough footage. Maybe we'll drop it before or at the start of the season.
yeah,
So be looking forward to that. But I mean, I think that's a wrap. I think thank you
yeah.
for watching.
Thanks
If
for
you're still
tuning in.
here, thanks for tuning in for
This is episode.
first episode of the podcast. We hope that you recommend us to your friends. Leave us a comment what you liked, maybe what we could do better. We're
And
looking forward to seeing you on the next one.
other topics that you're interested in
Oh, no
hearing.
doubt.
We got a lot of stuff to talk
A
about,
lot of
and it's
stuff to
not
talk
just
about.
hunting. It's not just arrows. It's not just broadhead. It is all sorts of hunting, from waterfowl to the deer
Mm-hmm.
woods to even small game. I love the small game
Oh,
hunt.
dude, we're gonna go.
Fishing.
We're gonna
We've got so much to
squirrel and
cover.
dumplings this
So
year.
much. Hope you believe it,
Oh,
buddy.
you better believe it.
And I think we're gonna try to do maybe some arrow fletching on a podcast and
Yeah,
really dive
definitely.
into the process that I go through to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe do some recipes.
Dude, yeah, definitely talk through some recipes. That's another great thing. And I
So
was thinking, like, we probably could do like on the adventure podcasts where we're out fishing,
yeah,
we're fishing. And there might not be a video, but
yeah,
there'll definitely be a lot of audio as we're
Like,
sitting there just ripping lips at ripping some bass lips or
yeah,
some
for
pike.
sure.
So
We'll get into a lot of cool stuff. I get the
I'm
feeling,
excited. I hope you're excited because
buddy. I'm ready.
this is gonna be
This is gonna
one
be a
for the
good year
books.
and
Definitely,
something to remember. So
definitely,
if you got anything that you want us to talk about, or if you've got some opinions on something, drop your opinions,
for sure.
because I think
We'd
it's
love to
the
read and respond.
blend of opinions. 'Cause I know my opinion's different than yours, and
Yeah,
I'm sure Noah's is. I mean, Noah's is
yeah.
clean slate. So
Clean slate. So he hasn't even hardly made opinions yet.
yeah, but it's an exciting year, and it's gonna be full of adventure,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah. So
the eternal pursuit
the
persists.
eternal pursuit. That's right. So thank you guys. We will see you on the next one.